Hi guys, welcome to Milgat Farms. My name is Kevin Connor, and along with my beautiful wife Emily, we are the owners of Virginia's only organic maple syrup farm. Here on our farm we do all sorts of things besides maple syrup. Maple syrup is a big part of our farm in the winter, but not in the summer. Unless you consider like line maintenance and that sort of thing, or bottling it and selling it. In that case we do some maple syrup year round, but for the most part maple syrup is made in the winter. So our summer months we do other things here on the farm. One of which is a B&B. We have two of those, one located on the farm and one located over in Augusta, which is not too far away. We raise chickens, turkeys, ducks, sheep. We have three kinds of sheep. Then we have our laying birds and a couple of pet turkeys. Wally and Porter are pet steers. We have alpacas too. So we do a lot of little things on the farm, and it's the sum of the parts that make it all work really well. Today we're working on a water bucket for our waterers for the chickens. Hey, if you guys like the videos that we're doing, give us that thumbs up. We appreciate it. So come on, let's get this water made. In a previous video, we took the chicken water bucket and used it to siphon off some water or hold water that we're going to siphon off from our spring, such that we can then let it gravity feed down to a couple of waters for our sheep. And now we need to make a second bucket. And I thought, maybe you guys have seen these, maybe you haven't, but this is the version that I came up with about 4 or 5 years ago, and I've been using it ever since. It works like a champ. Guys, this works really well for birds that are probably 2 to 4 weeks, that are maybe still in a brooder or getting ready to go on pasture. And it also works for the birds that are on pasture too. All right, I don't know if you guys can see, you won't see the whole thing, but this is a hose end, so the hose can fit onto this. This is 1/2-inch PVC, and these little guys right here are 1/2-inch. Let me make sure I'm telling you that right. Yeah. So guys, these are 1/2-inch threaded with nipples for chicken waterers, and the little water will keep the water from coming out just by the mere movement of it. The chickens will learn it pretty quickly because they're pecking at everything inside their pen. And so as they peck on it, the water comes out and they drink it and everything is good. About once a year, you need to pull these out and then clean them. And it's pretty simple. You just pull it out, put it in a bucket of warm soapy water, everything gets cleaned, and you put it back together. So you can see right in there, that's not a PVC fitting, it's a threaded fitting. And so these little guys right here, I'll leave a link in the description to them and a link in the description for these guys. And this whole thing right here fits into 2 brooders or my chicken tractor. And I just hang it. And what's cool about this is that, let's say you got some birds that are a little bit taller than others. You just hang it on an angle. And the short birds get the low side and the big birds get the tall side until everybody gets up to the right height. And then you can level it out and move it up and down any way that you want. But it's very versatile, pretty rugged. I mean, it's not going to take it if you run over it with a tractor, but I will have to say it's almost Kevin-proof. Let's go with that. We're not building this part. We're building the bucket part that's going to provide a little bit of pressure, water pressure, to keep these things going and full of water for a full day or more. It's pretty cool. So check this out. You can use any bucket that you have available. I would say sometimes the bigger the better, because that's less time between waterings. This is a food grade bucket that we use on our organic maple syrup farm. When we first started doing syrup, we would put the syrup in these buckets and store it for short periods of time, but that's not definitely long period storage. We've since changed and we only use stainless steel currently, and we have a lot of buckets left over. So we use them for just about anything here on the farm. And today we're going to use it to make a holder or the part of the water for the chickens that are in the brooder and for the chickens that are going to go on pasture here in about a week. So here's your first part, there's the bucket. Your second part's going to be a PVC fitting. Guys, we got 2 of the exact same fitting. We've got a piece of, I think it's EMT. This is a threaded, kind of a washer for what you'd use in electrical. It's pretty simple. I get them over at Lowe's or any big box warehouse, or any, for that matter, almost any hardware store will carry it. And it fits directly on here. We also use a washer. Not a washer. We also use an O-ring, okay? And that O-ring is going to press up against the bucket. This is going to go on the inside of the bucket, and it's going to hold it together and keep it from leaking. That's the theory anyway. Usually I have a much bigger washer that presses up against it and does it. Today I don't have a washer, so we're going to try to make this thing without that washer, and we'll see what it does. Hopefully it'll work long enough so we can keep our chickens watered today and tomorrow. But you can easily go get one of these things, that right there. So you can easily get one of these things. This is you'll find this in the electrical section at Lowe's or Home Depot. And this is just simply a washer. I looked all through Home Depot, and this is small enough to do what I was hoping to do. On this particular one, it's not going to work because the threads are too big. And so we're not going to be able to drill it out well enough to make it work. We're just going to go buy another one. But this is what you're going to need if you want to do it with a washer. Since we don't have a washer or anything that'll work like a washer, we're going to start off without a washer. But basically, this is what you got. You got two ends, right? And then on the other end, we've got to figure out a way to get a garden hose attached to it. And in this case, it's just a coupling that we had laying around. That coupling is going to screw directly on here. And then we got to connect a hose to it. And that's it. That's pretty simple. So we'll take, this is a quick connect for a hose coupling. We'll connect to the hose, and then we'll connect to the other end here. This bucket will sit up a little higher than the water itself and create a little bit of pressure. So the only thing we have to do is figure out the size of this hole right here. So guys, we got to figure out the size of this hole right here and drill a hole in the bucket. So guys, I like to make it about 2 to 3 inches above the bottom so that any debris that would land on the top of the water will settle below the point at which it goes into the hose and stops up your water nipples. That you definitely don't want. So just a little bit above is a good idea. So guys, that's a step bit. If you don't have one, they're worth buying. They're pretty cool. If you do a lot of projects, instead of having multiple drill bits, this thing works pretty well because it'll step each time it gets a little bit bigger. So in this project, it's going to work really well once we figure out what size we're looking for, which is right almost at the whole thing. So we're really close. So we're looking for the size of this, and we're not so far. So we're almost at the top, and we're going to go all the way to the edge and see what we can do here. All right, almost there. Still not quite big enough. So we're going to go all the way through. Nope, not yet. We got to find another drill bit. So guys, the reason you don't want to make an oversized hole, especially if you don't have a washer to create some pressure on the backside, is that you're going to be using only the outside of this to push up against the bucket. And that's going to make it a little difficult for it to seal. So this time we're going to try 2 washers, one on the outside, one on the inside. And the hole, we just kind of wallered it out a little bit with our grinding bit. And that grinding bit enabled us to make this thing fit pretty snug. So it's going to screw itself in there, sort of. Now mind you, it's not threaded, but it's tight enough to where the threads will pick up, and it's plastic. So that plastic is going to enable it to, you know, not tear the threads up on the PVC, but make its way in there. And what you don't want to do is push it in so hard that it pinches that O-ring out. If you can find a flat washer that's bigger, that's probably a better solution. A flat washer, like an O-ring flat washer that's made out of rubber, that'd be really cool. And you can find that in Lowe's in their specialty hardware section. A lot of times they've got them in there. They may not have the exact diameter that you want. You may have to cut it a little bit, but they've got them and it works. I'm using O-rings because that's what I have here in the barn. Of course, I gotta go find some more O-rings. And again, so guys, again, you don't need this thing super wrenched down, just finger tight. Of course, I say that. When I'm done, I'm probably gonna have to wrench it down. Hi, Iz. Let me get some of this junk out of here. This is a 1-inch pipe. It'll fit in there. We just need a little short section off of this one. Just a quick snippet. You don't want this thing terribly long. And the reason you don't is the longer it is, the more it's going to move up and down. So you want to keep it fairly close. It's going to fit something like this. It's going to go in, and that's going to go in, and that's going to be it. In fact, that's probably, yeah, that'll work. Nice and clean. Nice and clean. A little bit of glue. A lot of bit of glue. A little bit of glue. Just stick it right on in and give it a quarter turn. Try to stick it in and give it a quarter turn. Let it go all the way in. There. So it's got a quarter turn on it. Now you got to get it back. Get the end one off. I just messed that up, didn't I? That didn't come out so easy. Yeah, there we go. I got junk all over me. All right. That's going to work okay. So, again, PVC cleaner. And then we're not plumbing a house here, guys, but we do want to get it clean and we want to make sure that this sticks. Because the last thing you want is a leak. After you get it all done and get a leak, that's going to be a pain in the bum. Glue, glue, glue. A little bit of glue on the outside. Okay. Just stick it on. Push it all the way in. It's going to want to push out a little bit, so you got to hold it for a second until it sets. Give yourself about a quarter turn if you can. All right. So that's going to set up in probably the next 15 minutes or so. Dry pretty well, and we're not going to have any problems with it. Next, you're going to want a brass fitting. And what the brass fitting is going to do for us is give us the ability to connect garden hose to it. So that end is what we call national pipe thread. That end is a garden hose thread. And we're going to use a quick connect on here. Our other one down at the waterer, which we actually may go steal and put this next to the water, has a shutoff valve on it. And that shutoff valve is really helpful when you disconnect the quick connect. So that's exactly what we're going to go do. Is we're going to switch out these buckets. But here's it. So in this game, we're just going to, we got to get some pipe thread on there. All right, we got some pipe tape there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this guy and screw it on. Yeah. Right here, buddy. Okay. All right, guys. So, that's pretty much it, guys. All right, you guys, you see that right there? Pretty simple. We're only a couple inches off the bottom. All the sediment's going to go in the bottom and not inside of here. That's going to work out really well. You can see inside. I hope so. Oh, more water coming out. I cleaned the bucket. Anyway, so we've got it set up such that we've just got that electrical nut on there. I don't know what you call that thing. I'll probably have to find it out. We've got that electrical nut in there and it's holding and it's going to do perfect. So now we're ready to, we have a quick connect. If you guys have never used these, I gotta tell you, I love them. Love them. Put that on the end. I actually got to put a washer on it first. Put that on the end. And this bucket is ready to go. So we'll take you down there with, we got to go down to the red barn where we're brooding our chickens, and we're going to set this thing up and fill it up with water and see how it does. All right, guys. So here, check this out. I made 3 of these waterers, and these, what we have here are 2 brooders. On the right side are our meat birds. On the left side are our layers, and the layers are ready to come out, and the meat birds are not too far behind. But what we're having a problem with was keeping water in there because of these small waterers that we use. Now I know as soon as I do this, chicken's coming out. You see that waterer? I can grab that thing. So this is the waterer that we normally use inside the brooder when we first start the chicks off, because it's easy for them to find it and they can get to it. But at some point they go through it so fast that it's not very good to use. It takes a lot more chore. So at some point they'll go through that water very quickly, and it makes it kind of difficult throughout the day to have to keep coming back down. So I built this thing right here, and I built it for 2 brooders, and it works really well. It's just like the one we had up at the barn. See it? Except it goes down inside. So as it sits down in there like that, you might be able to see it right there. You see the nipple? And so the birds are going to sit there and nibble on it, and as they nibble on it, they get their water. And it doesn't take them long to find it. But until they find it, we're still going to put this one inside of there. Now, remember I said that when you make this, you don't want to make it really long? And the reason you don't is it's going to sag down and potentially put some binding on right here, or potentially causing some problem of leakage here. So I just put a string on it to hold it. There you go. You can see that string right there. I put that string on it so it can hold it up in the air, or just give it a little bit of support. And you want to check it when you first install it. Probably within the first 15-20 minutes, you'll find your leaks. Tighten them up, and then you'll be okay. So if we step back and take a look at this system, it's pretty simple. We use the same bucket on our chicken tractor, but we use a different version of this, albeit very similar, but a straighter version so that the birds can get to it easier. This is really designed for these brooders and specific to our application, but you can really configure this thing almost any way you want it. And that's about it, guys. It was pretty simple to build. Doesn't take very long and very few parts. The less moving parts, the better. And remember, when you cut your hole in the bucket, to keep it above the bottom about 1 to 2 inches, so all the sediment hits the bottom and doesn't go into your nipples. Or you're gonna have to clean those nipples out a little bit more frequently than you'd like to. If you guys like our videos, be sure and give us that thumbs up. So if you guys ever want to come out and visit, go to millgapfarms.com, where we have a B&B here on the farm and one not too far away. We'd love to have you out for a day or 2. So until next time, guys, God bless you. You get your crazy head back in there. What are you doing? Gobble gobble. What are you doing? What? You guys are huge. Say hello. Let's see the layers. The layers kind of get spooked. They gotta come out. Alright, up here is a cameo by Victoria. She's the one that has a broken leg. We just changed out her dressings, and the doctor's coming by tomorrow to set the cast. She's healing up pretty well, but not there yet. Not there yet. Alright, this little one right here was born the other day. Hi, Mama. Alright, guys, I'll see you after a while. This one was born last week, and it's a pair of twins. It's a pair of twins, and we have the other one in our house bottle feeding it. Alright, guys, I'll see you later. That's what I said.